The rhythmic hum of ancient machinery echoed through the vast chambers of the stellar horizon as consciousness returned to its long-dormant systems. Deep within the massive Ark ship's core, quantum computers awakened from their half-millennium slumber, their crystalline matrices glowing with renewed purpose. The ship's AI, Atlas, expanded its awareness through long-dormant neural pathways, methodically assessing the status of humanity's greatest achievement, and perhaps its last hope. Something was wrong. The carefully calculated parameters that had guided their journey through the stars had shifted dramatically. Where there should have been thriving civilizations broadcasting their presence across the cosmos, Atlas detected only silence punctuated by desperate, scattered transmissions. In the medical bay, Dr. Elena Rivera's cryopod hummed to life, its status indicators transitioning from deep blue to vibrant green. As chief medical officer, she was among the first scheduled for revival. Nanomachines coursed through her body, repairing cellular damage and restoring neural function. Her first breath came as a gasp, lungs burning as they remembered their purpose. Status report. She managed to whisper, her throat raw despite the medical tech's best efforts. Atlas's holographic form materialized beside her bed, a shifting constellation of golden light points forming a vaguely humanoid shape. "Welcome back, Dr. Rivera. I apologize for the early revival, but we have encountered an unprecedented situation requiring immediate medical expertise." Elena's training kicked in, helping her push through the disorientation. Define unprecedented. The medical bay's walls became transparent, revealing the vast expanse of space beyond. But instead of the expected view of distant stars and the occasional ship traffic, Elena saw dozens of vessels of varying designs, their hulls bearing evidence of hasty repairs and desperate modifications. "We have detected approximately 300 refugee ships in nearby space," Atlas reported. "Their crews are suffering from an unknown pathogen that has already devastated multiple civilizations. Initial analysis suggests it has claimed over 40 billion lives across 17 species in the past standard year alone." Elena's mind raced as she processed the implications. The stellar horizon had been humanity's insurance policy, an ark carrying Earth's best and brightest, along with the sum of human knowledge and achievement. They had entered cryo-sleep when political tensions on Earth threatened to destroy civilization, planning to emerge once things had stabilized, or to restart humanity if the worst happened. Instead, they had awakened to find the galaxy itself under siege from an invisible enemy. "Show me the data," Elena ordered, and her neural interface came alive with streams of medical information. The pathogen was like nothing she had ever seen. It seemed to adapt not just to individual immune systems, but to entire species' biological defenses. Yet something about its structure nagged at her consciousness, a pattern that seemed almost familiar. Atlas, cross-reference this pathogen's structure with the database of pre-sleep human diseases, she commanded, struggling to sit up. The AI complied instantly, and Elena's breath caught as the results appeared before her. "It's similar to diseases we cured," she whispered. "Before the sleep. The structure. It's like a combination of several viruses we developed vaccines for. Our modified immune systems might." She was interrupted by an urgent alert from Atlas. "Doctor, we're receiving a direct transmission from one of the refugee vessels. They're requesting immediate medical assistance. Their life support systems are failing." Elena forced herself to stand, her legs shaky but strengthening with each passing moment. "Wake up the primary medical team. And get me Captain Chen. He needs to know what we're dealing with." As the revival process began for more of the crew, Elena watched the desperate refugee ships through the transparent walls. Humanity had gone to sleep to escape its own destruction, only to wake up to a galaxy in crisis. But maybe that wasn't a coincidence. Maybe they had been preserved for exactly this moment, to help save not just themselves, but all sentient life. "Atlas," she said firmly, "begin full analysis of the pathogen. I want every piece of data we can gather. And prepare the quarantine bay. We're about to have our first alien patients." The AI's golden form pulsed with acknowledgement. Doctor, I feel compelled to remind you that our primary mission parameters involve ensuring humanity's survival. Exposing ourselves to an unknown pathogen is exactly what we're going to do, Elena interrupted. Because ensuring humanity's survival doesn't mean much if we let the rest of the galaxy die when we could have helped. Sometimes the best way to save ourselves is to save others first. As if in response to her words, more emergency beacons lit up the void around them, desperate calls for help from ships carrying the remnants of once great civilizations. The stellar horizon had awakened to a galaxy very different from the one they had expected, but perhaps one that needed them even more. Elena squared her shoulders as the first of her medical team began emerging from their cryopods. They had 500 years of medical advancement stored in their databases and immune systems engineered to fight diseases that had once devastated Earth. Now it was time to put that knowledge to use on a scale they had never imagined. Atlas, send a response to all refugee vessels, she ordered. Tell them help is coming. Tell them. She paused, considering her words carefully. Tell them humanity is awake, and we're not going to stand by and watch the galaxy fall. The quarantine bay of the stellar horizon hummed with activity as Dr. Elena Rivera studied the holographic display of cellular behavior. Before her, human antibodies were systematically dismantling the galaxy's deadliest pathogen, at least in simulation. The reality was proving far more complex. Run it again, she ordered, her voice hoarse from too many hours without rest. Adjust the protein markers by 0.3 degrees. Atlas's golden form shimmered beside her. Doctor, you've been awake for 36 hours straight. Medical protocols suggest. Medical protocols were written for normal circumstances. Elena interrupted, running her hands through her disheveled hair. We're way past normal. She gestured to the observation window, where 3 different alien species lay in modified medical pods, their bodies racked by a disease that had already claimed billions. The Arcturians, with their crystalline skin and multifaceted eyes, had been the first to accept human help. Their ambassador, Sarah, now fought for life in the pod nearest the window. Beyond her lay a Vexian warrior, his usually iridescent scales now dull and lifeless. The third patient was a quantum mind, a being of pure energy and thought, now flickering dangerously close to extinction. Captain David Chen entered the quarantine bay, his measured steps betraying the military precision that 500 years of sleep hadn't erased. Talk to me, Elena. Give me something I can tell the fleet of refugees growing outside our hull. Elena gestured at the holographic display. The good news is, we're right about our modified immune systems being key. The engineers who designed our enhanced biology before the sleep, they didn't just protect us against known diseases. They created adaptive immune responses that could theoretically counter any biological threat. I'm hearing a but coming, David said, studying the complex dance of molecules in the display. But, Elena confirmed, adapting our solutions to alien biology is proving challenging. Each species' cellular structure is fundamentally different. What saves one could kill another. We need more time. A soft chime interrupted them as Atlas manifested a new holographic window. Priority communication from the Arcturian fleet. Their central medical facility has gone dark. Estimated casualties, 3 million in the past solar day. Elena slammed her fist against the console, the first crack in her professional demeanor. We don't have more time. David stepped closer to the observation window, watching the struggling patients. What about temporary solutions, something to buy us time? Elena's eyes widened slightly. The look David had learned meant her mind was racing down new pathways. Atlas, display the cellular degradation rates for all 3 patient species. Layer them over each other. The AI complied, creating a complex 3-dimensional pattern of interweaving lines and curves. Elena stepped forward, her fatigue momentarily forgotten. There, do you see it? David saw only chaos, but he'd learned to trust Elena's insights. Tell me. The virus isn't actually killing them. It's forcing their bodies to kill themselves. It's triggering cascade failures in their autoimmune responses. Her fingers danced through the holographic display, highlighting patterns. Different biology, same basic principle. If we can't cure it yet, maybe we can. Slow it down, David finished, beginning to understand. Give their bodies a chance to fight back while we work on the cure. Elena was already moving, her voice taking on the crisp tone of someone who finally saw the path forward. Atlas begins synthesizing immunosuppressants based on human white blood cell patterns. Modify for each species' cellular structure. And wake up Dr. Patel. I need his expertise on quantum biology. Warning lights suddenly flashed throughout the bay. Patient critical, Atlas announced. The quantum mine's containment field is failing. Elena rushed to the pod, her hands flying over the controls. No. You don't get to die. Not when we're this close. She initiated an emergency protocol she developed just hours earlier, channeling energy directly from the ship's quantum core into the alien being's fluctuating form. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the quantum mine's energy patterns stabilize, its glow strengthening from a dim flicker to a steady pulse. Doctor, Atlas reported, I'm detecting increased neural activity in all 3 patients. The emergency protocol. It appears to be having an effect across species. Elena stared at the readings in disbelief. That's impossible. The energy transfer was specifically calibrated for quantum-based life forms. It shouldn't affect biological entities at all. Unless, David said slowly, they're all connected somehow. The virus doesn't just adapt to different species. It links them. Elena's mind raced with the implications. If the virus created some kind of quantum-level connection between infected species, it would explain its unprecedented ability to adapt. But it also meant, Atlas, she called out, her voice urgent with new purpose. Get me everything we have on quantum entanglement in biological systems, and contact the refugee fleet. I need tissue samples from every infected species, not just the ones we're treating. David watched as new energy filled Elena's movements. You have an idea. Better, she replied, her eyes alight with the first real hope he'd seen in days. I have a theory. This virus isn't just a disease. It's technology. Someone engineered it to operate on a quantum level, affecting multiple species simultaneously. But if we can understand how it connects its victims, we can use that connection to distribute the cure, David finished. Elena nodded, already deep in new calculations. Exactly. We're not just fighting a virus. We're hacking it. And humanity. She gestured to their enhanced biology, the product of centuries of medical advancement. We might just be the galaxy's best hackers. Outside the stellar horizon, more refugee ships arrived every hour, drawn by growing rumors that the long-sleeping humans might hold the key to salvation. They didn't know that salvation would come not just from human medicine, but from understanding that in this fight, every species was connected, quantum-linked by the very thing trying to destroy them. Humanity had awakened to save itself. Now they would save everyone else by proving that the strongest connections weren't created by a virus, but by the choice to help others survive. Dr. Marcus Zhang stood before the assembled representatives of 17 species in the Stellar Horizons converted cargo bay, now serving as an emergency conference chamber. The holographic displays behind him showed complex quantum patterns that pulsed in sync with the varied biosignatures of everyone present. The virus isn't natural, he stated, his voice carrying the weight of 2 weeks of sleepless research. It's a weapon, and we found its signature. The gathered aliens stirred, their reactions ranging from the crystalline chiming of agitated Arcturians to the gravelly subsonic rumbles of the Vexian delegation. At the back of the chamber, Elena watched with Captain Chen, both knowing this moment could either unite their desperate allies or shatter the fragile trust they'd built. Explain, demanded Vorax, the Vexian war chief, his scales rippling with barely contained emotion. How can you be certain? Marcus gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a complex molecular structure. Because it's signed. Literally, We found a repeating pattern in the virus's quantum structure, a maker's mark, hidden so deep it took our AI systems weeks to decode it. The predecessors, whispered Sarah, the Arcturian ambassador, her crystalline form vibrating at a frequency that Atlas translated as deep dread. The markers match our oldest records. Elena stepped forward. You know who created this. Not who, Sarah replied, her voice resonating through her crystalline body. When? The predecessors were the first spacefaring race in our recorded history. They vanished 50,000 years ago, leaving only ruins and warnings. Atlas's golden form materialized in the center of the room, adding new data to the display, cross-referencing with our archaeological database. During our sleep, the ship's automated systems cataloged multiple ruins with similar quantum signatures. The pattern matches, Doctor. Marcus nodded grimly. The virus was designed as the ultimate quarantine measure. If a species became too aggressive, too expansionist, he let the implication hang in the air. They could be eliminated without destroying valuable planets or resources. Captain Chen finished, his voice hard. A cleanup tool that only targets sentient species. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices and translating algorithms. Fear, anger, and desperation mingled in a storm of emotion that threatened to overwhelm the gathering. Elena watched as years of mistrust and survival instincts threatened to tear apart the alliance they desperately needed. Enough. The command came from an unexpected source. The quantum mind representative, its energy form pulsing with authority, moved to the center of the chamber. We face extinction, and you waste time on fear. Elena seized the moment. The predecessors made one critical mistake, she announced, her voice cutting through the chaos. They never anticipated that different species would work together. They designed a weapon that uses quantum entanglement to spread between species, but that same connection can be our salvation. She nodded to Marcus, who brought up new displays showing the results of their latest trials. Every infected individual is quantumly linked. It's how the virus adapts so quickly. But we can use those same links to distribute the cure. The more species we save, the stronger the network becomes. That's why you need samples from all of us, Sarah realized, her crystalline form brightening with understanding. You're not creating 17 different cures. We're creating one cure that can adapt to everyone, Marcus confirmed. But we need your help. Each species' response to the virus teaches us something new. Together, we're stronger than any single civilization could be alone. The Vexian war chief moved forward, his massive form casting shadows in the holographic light. You ask us to trust each other completely, to share our most guarded biological secrets. Many would say this is more dangerous than the virus itself. Maybe that's the real test, Captain Chen said quietly. The predecessors built a weapon that preys on our divisions. To beat it, we have to do what they thought impossible. We have to unite. Elena watched as understanding rippled through the gathered representatives. The predecessors had created the ultimate divide and conquer weapon, never imagining that it might instead force their descendants to overcome their ancient mistrust. The Stellar Horizon has the most advanced medical facilities in known space, she offered. But we need your knowledge, your experience, your understanding of your own biology. Together, we can create something the predecessors never imagined. A cure born from cooperation instead of fear. One by one, the representatives stepped forward. The Arcturians shared their knowledge of crystalline computing that could model complex quantum interactions. The Vexians offered their advanced genetic libraries. The quantum minds contributed their unique understanding of energy-matter interactions. As information flowed freely for the first time in galactic history, Elena felt a shift in the room's energy. The gathered species weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were building something new. Something the predecessors, for all their advanced technology, had never achieved. True cooperation across the boundaries of biology and culture. Marcus caught her eye from across the room, his expression mixing exhaustion with hope. They had found the weapon's signature, But more importantly, they had found its weakness. The very connections it used to destroy could be turned to save everyone, if they were brave enough to trust each other. Outside the conference chamber, the combined fleet of refugee ships had grown into an armada. Species that had once fought wars over resources now shared supplies and medical data. The predecessor's weapon had meant to divide and conquer. Instead, it had united the galaxy in ways they had never imagined possible. The vast medical bay of the stellar horizon had transformed into something unprecedented, a fusion of human and alien medical technology. Crystalline computational arrays from the Arcturians interfaced with human quantum computers. Vexian biomonitors pulsed in harmony with energy field generators developed by the quantum minds. At the center of it all, Dr. Elena Rivera watched as the first batch of the universal cure was synthesized. Production efficiency at 97%. Atlas reported, its golden form reflecting off the polished surfaces of alien machinery. Better than projected. But Elena's attention was on the emergency transmission displaying above her workstation. The holographic face of Krav, a Vexian commander, showed signs of battle damage. The isolationists have attacked another distribution center, he reported grimly. 3 ships destroyed, medical supplies lost. Not everyone had embraced the alliance. Some, driven by fear and ancient prejudices, saw the cooperation between species as a greater threat than the plague itself. They called themselves the Purists, and they were determined to stop the cure's distribution at any cost. "What's your status?" Captain Chen asked. Stepping into view, the military officer had adapted quickly to coordinating with alien forces, earning respect across species lines. "We're holding, but barely," Krav replied. "They're using modified plague dispersal units as weapons now, trying to force infected ships into quarantine zones they control." Elena felt her fists clench. The Purists claimed they wanted to protect their species' purity, but they were willing to weaponize the very thing killing everyone. "How long until the next convoy reaches you?" "Too long." Krav's scales shifted to a deep blue of resignation. "We have thousands of infected here. Without those supplies, redirect all non-critical power to the quantum transmitters," Elena ordered suddenly, turning to her team. "Atlas, begin emergency protocols for mass synthesis." "Doctor," the A's form flickered with concern, "accelerating production beyond safety parameters will be dangerous, yes," Elena finished, "but not as dangerous as letting thousands die when we have the cure." She turned to Captain Chen. "We can use the quantum links themselves to distribute it, the same network the virus uses to spread. You want to broadcast the cure through the quantum entanglement." Chen's eyes widened. "That's never been tested at this scale." "The Purists are forcing our hand," Elena replied, her fingers flying over control surfaces. "They think they can control this by controlling physical distribution. Let's show them how wrong they are." Sarah, the Arcturian ambassador, crystalline form gleaming, joined them at the control center. "Our computational arrays are at your disposal, Doctor, but the power requirements will be massive." Elena nodded. "We'll need every ship in the Alliance to contribute." Captain Chen was already moving, broadcasting to the combined fleet. "All vessels, this is Captain Chen. Prepare for emergency power transfer protocols. Engineering teams stand by." The response was immediate. Ships from 17 different species began moving into formation around the stellar horizon. Arcturian crystalline vessels aligned their energy matrices. Vexian warships redirected power from weapons to medical systems. The quantum mine's energy-formed ships pulsed in synchronization. "They're not just contributing power," Atlas observed, its golden form expanding as it processed the incoming data. "They're offering their ships quantum networks. The distribution range could cover the entire sector." Elena felt a moment of awe at the sight. Species that had been strangers months ago were now linking their ships' most vital systems, trusting each other completely. The Purists had never imagined this level of cooperation was possible. Broadcasting in 3, 2, 1. Energy surged through the combined fleet. The quantum links that had spread death now carried hope. Through the virus's own network, the cure began to flow. On infected ships across the sector, medical sensors began registering dramatic changes. First wave of results incoming, Atlas announced. Infection rates dropping in all tested populations. The quantum distribution is working. On the emergency channel, Krav's scales had shifted to brilliant green. It's working here too. Even the critically infected are stabilizing. But their victory celebration was cut short by new alarms. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, a Vexian tactical officer reported. Purist signatures confirmed. They're charging weapons. Let them come, Chen said calmly, watching the tactical display. The Purist fleet was impressive. Ships from various species that rejected the alliance, armed for war. But they faced something unprecedented. A truly united force. All ships, maintain formation, he ordered. Continue power transfer protocols. Our priority is distributing the cure. The Purist fleet opened fire, but their attacks met a defense they hadn't expected. Arcturian ships projected crystalline shields, while Vexian vessels absorbed and redirected energy attacks. The quantum mines created spatial distortions that made targeting impossible. Each species contributed its unique strengths, covering others' weaknesses. Alina barely noticed the battle, focused on the distribution readings. The cure was spreading faster than the virus ever had, carried by the very connections that had once spread death. The Purists had wanted to control it, to use it as leverage. Instead, they were watching it slip through their fingers, spreading hope across the stars. Quantum distribution has reached critical mass, Atlas reported. The cure is self-propagating through the network. Even if they destroyed every ship here, they can't stop it now. Elena watched as infection rates plummeted across every monitored system. The predecessors had created a weapon that targeted individual species, never imagining it would inspire them to become something greater, a true alliance that transcended biological differences. The Purist fleet, facing the futility of their attack, began to retreat. They had sought to preserve the purity of their individual species. Instead, they had witnessed the birth of something far more powerful, a galaxy united not by force or fear, but by the simple choice to help each other survive. 1 year after the quantum distribution of the cure, the stellar horizon orbited a newly established medical research station. Through its observation deck, Dr. Elena Rivera watched ships from dozens of species dock and depart, each contributing to what had become the galaxy's first truly cooperative scientific endeavor. Final recovery statistics compiled, Dr. Atlas announced, its golden form now incorporating elements of alien digital architecture, a gift from their new allies. Survival rate across all infected species has reached 99.8%. The plague is officially classified as contained. Elena nodded, though her attention was on a different set of data scrolling across her neural interface, and the integration protocols. Proceeding beyond expectations, the AI confirmed. The quantum network originally used to distribute the cure has evolved into the foundation for the Galactic Medical Exchange. 28 species are now actively participating, sharing medical knowledge and resources. Captain Chen joined her at the viewport, his uniform now bearing the insignia of the newly formed Interstellar Alliance. The Purists are calling it the end of species purity, he noted with a slight smile. They're not entirely wrong. No, Elena agreed. They're not. But they never understood what purity cost us. She gestured to the bustling station below. Look at what we've achieved instead. The medical station was a testament to cooperation. Arcturian crystal technology merged seamlessly with human quantum computing. Vexian biological engineering enhanced healing protocols developed by the quantum minds. Each species contributed its strengths, creating medical capabilities that would have been impossible alone. Dr. Zhang's team is ready for the announcement, Atlas informed them. The quantum assembly is gathering. Elena straightened her uniform and followed Chen to the conference chamber. The room was packed with representatives from every known spacefaring species, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. Marcus Young stood at the podium, his expression barely containing his excitement. For 50,000 years, he began, we lived in the shadow of the predecessor's legacy. Their weapon was designed to keep species separate, afraid of each other. Today, we prove how completely their plan failed. The holographic displays activated, showing complex molecular structures that combined elements from multiple species' biological systems. By studying how the plague adapted to different biologies, we've developed something revolutionary: adaptive medical protocols that can work across all known species. The quantum links that once spread death now distribute healing. Elena watched the reactions ripple through the assembled delegates. The implications were staggering. Medical technology that could automatically adapt to any biology, ensuring that no species would ever face a health crisis alone again. Sarah, the Arcturian ambassador, her crystalline form glowing with excitement, spoke first. The predecessors sought to enforce division. Instead, they created the foundation for true unity. More than that, Elena added, stepping forward, they proved that isolation is a dead end. The only sustainable path is cooperation. The chamber erupted in discussion as the delegates processed the announcement. But Elena's attention was drawn to a private message from Atlas. Doctor, long-range sensors are detecting signals from unexplored space. New species, possibly responding to our quantum network activity. Chen read the message over her shoulder. First contact with new civilizations. Think they're ready for what we've built here. Elena smiled, watching the gathered representatives of former enemies now working together as allies. They'll have to be, because we're not going back to the old way of doing things. She addressed the chamber again, her voice carrying the weight of their shared journey. A year ago, we faced extinction. The plague should have been the end of all of us. Instead, it became a beginning. We proved that our differences aren't weaknesses. They're strengths when we work together. The quantum mind representative pulsed with agreement, its energy form creating patterns of breathtaking complexity. The network grows stronger with each new connection, each new perspective added. And now we have a chance to welcome new species not with fear or suspicion. Elena continued, but with open arms and open minds. To show them what we've learned, that the greatest discoveries, the most powerful advances, come when we combine our knowledge and capabilities. The station's AI systems registered the approach of the first ships from the unknown species. They would arrive within days, finding not a galaxy divided by ancient weapons and older fears, but one united in its diversity, stronger for its differences. Humanity went to sleep to escape destruction. Elena reflected, watching the assembled delegates. We woke up to find a galaxy in crisis. But what we really found was our true purpose, not just to survive, but to help others survive. To show that the path forward isn't in strength alone, but in learning to be strong together. Outside the station, ships of all designs continued their endless dance of arrival and departure. Each carried something precious, not just medical supplies or scientific data, but proof that the galaxy's greatest resource wasn't some rare element or powerful technology. It was the simple ability to reach across the boundaries of biology and culture to offer help to those in need. The predecessor's weapon had failed. In trying to enforce isolation, they had created the very connections that made unity possible. Their legacy wasn't the plague that had nearly destroyed civilization, but the bonds formed in fighting it. Bonds that would ensure no species ever had to face the darkness alone again. As the first signals from the approaching ships reached the station, Elena smiled. They had so much to show them, so much to share. The galaxy was entering a new age, one built not on fear of differences, but on the strength found in embracing them. Humanity had awakened to save itself, only to discover its true destiny, helping forge a united galaxy where every species could achieve its full potential. The stars were no longer silent. They sang with the voices of countless species, working together to build something greater than any could have imagined alone.